stopped it before the F-bomb because I didn't ask Congress for permission. That's right. Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday to the Ungovernables, the Captain's Crew, the LFA family, McGroin Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. We're on Rumble, we're on X, we're everywhere. We are everywhere today, making it happen as a historic ceasefire appears to have been at least put into place by Donald Trump yesterday, despite many people's attempts to undermine it. And these are attempts from the left, from the right, from Israel, from Iran. There are attempts to undermine this ceasefire and get away with, when mom and dad aren't looking, you flick, boom, he hit me. I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Kind of that type of stuff going on right now as well. So we will see. I do think it'll hold. We'll have Truth Social opened up all morning to make sure that if Donald Trump does make a post on Truth Social about it, we will have it. Right now, we actually have a new post from Donald Trump as of about 8 minutes ago. It's quite long, but we'll start. Stupid AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Look, you don't believe me? Look at this. Of course you believe me, but look at this. Look at this on the screen. Stupid AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the most dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before. The reason for her ranting's blah, 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 blah. It's very long, but it's really funny that he's going after AOC. He went after Massey this morning. He went after Iran and Israel this morning. About 50 minutes ago, says China can now continue to produce oil from Iran. Hopefully they will be purchasing plenty from the United States. It was my great honor to make this happen. A lot of talk right now on Truth Social. We're on Donald Trump's profile, so we're watching that closely, obviously, because, if it's not on Truth, it's not the truth when it comes to Donald Trump. Let us know where you're watching from in the chat. Dragon says, I don't see the live feed on Rumble. It's there. If you go to rumble.com/LFA TV, it is the top featured stream. If you'd like to join us there, rumble.com/LFA TV. It's also here on X. I posted it a few times in my feed. I do that a bunch, kind of the what the show is about, and then below it in the link. So you can check it out there. If you have a hard time finding it after that point, I don't know why the link is being hidden, but it should be there. Stupid. All sentences. I'm gonna make a motion here. All sentences should begin with stupid AOC, and all statements should be concluded with thank you for your attention to this matter. Does anybody second the motion? Does anybody second the motion? We got Wisconsin in the house. Here we go. Buffalo, Texas in the house. Oklahoma in the house. Pennsylvania in the house. Michigan in the house. Minnesota in the house. Brooklyn Park, that's where that craziness happened. That assassination. Massachusetts is in the house. I know New York is in the house. West Virginia. Mountain Mama. Take me home. Country roads is in the house. AOC stupid, I second. We love it. Indiana is in the house. Let's see. New Jersey is in the house. Yes, yes, yes. The Gulf of America is in the house. There it is. Missouri is in the house. Ohio, where it's hot, is in the house. Of course, Texas is back. We have a lot of people who are Brooklyn, New York is in a New York. Brooklyn, New York is in the house as well. Long Island is in the house as well. New Hampshire is in the house. We love it. Maryland, Idaho, aptly named after Kamala Harris. Very nice. Over on X, I see Texas is in the house. Chicago is in the house. Let's see what else we got. Illinois is in the house. Illinois. Do us a favor if you're watching over on X. Go ahead and hit that repost button. We're going to get fired up here and start talking about everything that transpired yesterday. The many attempts from many people, of course, to undermine the ceasefire, and the continued bitching and moaning, for lack of a better term, but that's what's going on, of these people on the woke right. I call them now the insufferables, right? Owen Bin Schroyer, the Haji twins, Candace, all these people are insufferable with the whining. Insufferable. And you know what I've come to figure out? They thrive on the chaos. They thrive on the conflict, because without conflict, they have no content. They have nobody to blame. They have nobody to whine about. Before we get into all that, and then we'll get into one of the funniest things Donald Trump has probably ever done. I want to talk to you about our friends over at OFP Farms. That is OFPFarms.com. Look, guys, you got the soaps, the lotions, and the lip balms. Revolution soap right here. It looks good. It smells good. It is the best stuff that you can. It is good. It tastes. I'm just kidding. I don't think it tastes good. I've never tried to eat it before, but I do smell it. The Outlaw soap, obviously, it's the strongest one. This one leaves you smelling like a felon. OFP Farms is a family-owned and operated patriotic America First goat farm that provides quality goat milk products for everyday use, like the soaps that I just showed you, like the lip balms that I use every single day. I was a chapstick addict for a while. All right, you see this? I was a chapstick addict for a while. You see that right there? This is Goat Kisses Lip Balm. It's made from goat's milk, and it is super healthy, super good for all of you. It's just the best stuff in the world, and it's not owned by Pfizer like chapstick. They have a large collection of goat milk products that are enriched with vital nutrients of essential vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids to promote optimal skin health. They can boast thousands of 5-star reviews. Thousands of 5-star reviews. Thousands. And a lot of them come from you, and we are greatly appreciative of that. That'll tell you, if you're new to OFP Farms, how amazing their products actually are. So go ahead, slather on that goat milk goodness and check it out. Allow your skin to become the ultimate powerhouse. Go to OFPFarms.com. Check out their wide selection of goat milk soaps, lotions, and lip balms. Take a look at it. Beard products as well. Be sure to use the promo code Sean at checkout and receive 15% off of your entire order. That is OFPFarms.com. Promo code Sean, SHAWN, Sierra Hotel Alpha Whiskey November, OFPFarms.com. Promo code Sean, OFPFarms.com. Promo code SHAWN. All right. I want to make my position abundantly clear right now regarding Trump, regarding the war, regarding the woke right. Never will you find me telling you that disagreeing with the actions of the administration is not something that people should be allowed to do. Never will you find me saying that. Ever. Never have I said that, by the way. There is a difference. There is a clear difference. And don't be obtuse with this argument. Because there are people who are, what are you saying? We can't criticize Trump? Do you know who you're talking to? Did we not literally start flipping tables over the exceptions for farm and hospitality and leisure, that decision that Trump made that he reversed? You know you're talking to? Okay. Never will I argue that we're not allowed to push back on Donald Trump. I'm not going to argue that. Never. Because that is cultish and that is stupid. However, when you are doing it simply to do it, to play contrarian, to create, I don't want to say a divide, but to create a problem or to start screaming about it and virtue signaling off of it, which is what the woke right is doing. Owen Ben Schroyer, Candace Owens, the Haji twins, Luke Rudkowski. Let me tell you something about this Luke Rudkowski character. Okay? This guy he's just pushing for war. Like I said, he's like, you ever been in that, like a situation where like the older brother and the little brother are fighting with each other? And the parents are like, enough. And then like the older brother like elbows when people aren't looking. They go, Dad, look what happened. Look, is he in trouble now? That's what this guy's doing. Trying to fan the flames and bring back to life a conflict that apparently they want to end. When I tell you, and I'm going to say this again because I've been saying this since this whole conflict started, that Candace Owens, Dave Smith, the Haji twins, Owen Ben Schroyer, Nick Fuentes, Luke Rudkowski, and the rest of these people are not anti-war, folks. They are not anti-war. I don't care how much and how many times people want to say that they're not. They're anti-Israel, which I don't agree with. But if that's the extent of their, feelings, that's one thing. They're anti-Jew. We have the proof from Myron Gaines himself, which is not his real name, by the way. Remember this one? Stop calling them Zionists. Stop calling them Sabbationists. Stop calling them Frankists. Just call them what they are, Jews. Look, right there. And these people are anti-peace. They are pro-war. They are pro-conflict. Without conflict, these people have nothing to fearmonger over. Without conflict, they lose the ability to farm these. Without conflict, they lose the ability to manipulate people to pay attention to what they're saying. Without conflict, they lose the ability to blame Israel and say, see, I told you so. They're terrible people. Bibi Netanyahu's a terrible. I'm not a big fan of Bibi. I'm not. I don't think he got the nickname Dick Cheney of the Middle East by accident, okay? That said, what I've wanted and what I will continue to push for and what I have not wavered off of this stance whatsoever is I want Iran and I want Israel and I want the United States. I don't want any more bombs being dropped except F-bombs. That's it. Let's do a ceasefire. No, I don't trust Iran long term. Let's get this. Look, this is the way this game has to be played. You have to take what you can get. Let's get a ceasefire now, right? To take words out of the left's mouth. Let's get a ceasefire right now. And let's work on building a better relationship in the future. Okay? That's it. These people don't want that. These people want Israel to violate the ceasefire. These people want Iran to violate the ceasefire and then say, well, they did it because Israel violated the ceasefire. These people want war. Don't let them fool you. I'm telling you. And by the way, do not be afraid to speak out against these people. They are all paper tigers. All of them. It doesn't matter how many followers they have. It doesn't matter how big they say their audience is. It doesn't matter what kind of language they use. They are all paper tigers. I called a lot of these people last week an emotional wreck, and I said they're a collective emotional wreck. And Owen Schroyer, who I now call Owen Bin Schroyer because he's simping for Iran, Owen Bin Schroyer he made a video and he started losing his mind on the video. Thanks for proving my point, dude. Thanks for proving my point. You know how many messages I've gotten? Thanks for keeping a level head. Thanks for being reasonable. I bet you that idiot's DMs don't look like that. Okay? Don't be afraid to call these people out. Don't be afraid to expose them. And don't listen to the people who say, it's infighting. It's not infighting. They're not on your side. They're not on your side. All right. I want to get to the biggest bomb that was dropped this morning. Before we do that, I want to get to a word from our friends over at My Patriot Supply. That is mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Massive 4th of July sale, ladies and gentlemen. The 4th of July is, 10 days away?
Not far.
11 days away? I love me some July 4th. That'll be the next day we take a break on this. Well, the next day I take a break on this diet, of course, unless I cave, but I'm probably not going to cave. Folks, every 4th of July, I think about what it really means to be free. Don't we love it? That's the original No King's Day, right? That's the original No King's Day. It's not just fireworks and cookouts. It is remembering that our freedom was earned. It was earned in a big way. And keeping it means taking responsibility for ourselves and our family. That is why I shop at My Patriot Supply. They are an American-owned and operated company that helps me stay prepared for whatever comes our way. From storms and blackouts to shortages, supply chain issues, and far worse than that. You can stock up on emergency food kits, water filtration, solar backup power, and you can sleep better knowing that your family is covered if things go sideways. Because black swan events are always right around the corner. Right now, My Patriot Supply is having a huge 4th of July sale. So if you've been thinking about getting prepared for emergencies, this is a great time to do it and a great way to do it, folks. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. If you believe in self-reliance and personal responsibility, If you believe that freedom is worth defending, shop at mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Look at all this stuff that's on here, right? All this food supply. Look at that. Anti-radiation. Come on. You can't find it anywhere else. mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. That's mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Shop this 4th of July sale while it's going on. We got 11 days left until the 4th of July. It's not just a holiday. It's a reminder of the responsibility that comes with freedom. mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Okay. I need your permission in the chat. Permission. I need your permission. You guys are Congress. You guys are Congress, but you work harder than Congress. Okay, but you guys are Congress, and I'm going to be your favorite president. I need your permission. I need your permission to drop an F-bomb. I need your permission for an F-bomb. Do I have permission to drop the F-bomb? This is my request to Congress to formally declare war. Not really, but just to I'm not going to drop this F-bomb. Somebody else is going to drop this F-bomb. But I want to play this for you because I think this is one of the funniest things. Do I have your permission to drop the F-bomb heard around the world? Let's see. I'm waiting. I see Bad Moon says permission granted. I see fucking do it. I see go for it in the chat. Let's see. I don't know. That's only 3 votes. There it is. Winky's using the stupid AOC. There he is. Drop it like Stacey Abrams. Go for it. Do it. No permission needed. Do it. Permission granted. Drop the bomb on me. I'm so effing excited. Hey, Torrin McGroin used the F-bomb already. All right. Are we ready? This is what I voted for. People are like, oh, you voted for a guy to drop F-bomb. Shut up. Yes, I voted for my president to speak without a filter. I voted for a guy who isn't afraid to show the world that he's really frustrated with what's going on the world stage. The guy just wants peace. Donald Trump with the F-bomb heard round the world speak as Bill O'Reilly. We'll do it live. All right. You ready? This was one of the funniest. I think this is one of the funniest Trump moments in the world. And it's not the F-bomb that gets me. It's the end of it where he goes, do you understand that? Watch this.
You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
They don't know what they're doing. You understand that? As if whoever he was talking to did not understand that. How about it? And he just walks away. F-bomb, mic drop, and I'm out. Right? One more time.
You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
I voted for a New Yorker for president. And that's what you get. Is there anybody like him? I mean, look. There are things that he does that I disagree with, right? There are things that he'll do that I'll push back on. Having a potty mouth in front of reporters will never be one of those things. Never be one of those things. I love it. To the moon and back. I think it's great. I think it's a breath of fresh air. Who cares? Right? What? You're going to tell me the left is going to get mad at it when you got Jasmine Crockett snapping her fingers and blinking? Girl, please. Right? Her ghetto ass walking around talking about Governor Hot Wheels and dropping all sorts of profanity. You're going to tell me they're going to get mad at it? Oh, it's not presidential. It's not presidential. Give me a break. I thought it was great. It seems like a lot of people thought it was great as well. I think it's great. So the F-bomb heard around the world was right there. Now, there was a ceasefire. There is still, I believe, a ceasefire in place between Israel and Iran. However, tensions are incredibly high right now, okay, between Israel and Iran. Yesterday, Donald Trump, and Trump 14 minutes ago on Truth Social says, now that we have made peace abroad, we must finish the job here at home by passing the great big beautiful bill and getting the bill to my desk ASAP. It'll be a historic present for the great people of the United States of America as we begin the celebration of our country's 250th birthday. We're finally entering our golden age, which will bring unprecedented safety, security, and prosperity for all of our citizens. To my friends in the Senate, lock yourself in a room if you must. Don't go home. Did you hear that? Get to work. Get this deal done this week. Work with the House so they can pick it up and pass it immediately. No one goes on vacation until it's done. Everyone, most importantly, the American people, will be much better off thanks to our work together. Make America great again. Right there from the man himself. No more vacations. No more extended weekends. No more recesses. No more bullcrap. Get the work done now. Okay, that post, what it says to me is he doesn't think the ceasefire is going to fall apart. He's acting like it's a done deal. What happened last night and what happened this morning? Well, whether it was before the ceasefire or the missiles launched before the ceasefire and then they impacted 20 minutes after the ceasefire, unfortunately, 4 Israelis were killed last night in an Iranian missile attack. Okay? There's no excuse for it. These are bad people. I don't trust them. Okay? However, you're dealing with Iran and you're dealing with, armed conflict, right? And a war between two countries. I don't want to say these things should be expected, but it didn't surprise me. This morning, one rocket, well after the ceasefire was declared and in place, one rocket crossed into Israeli airspace. That's what triggered this whole mess where you now have the Haji twins and Rodkowski and Candace and all these people crying at, oh, it's not actually a ceasefire and Israel's the problem and all this, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But one Iranian rocket crossed into Israeli airspace this morning, and Israel responded with more than proportional force, let's say. Or they were at least going to respond with more than proportional force. Right? It wasn't an eye for an eye. It was one rocket, and then all of a sudden, like, the way Trump was making it sound, that they were just like they were ready to bomb the you-know-what out of Iran today because of the one rocket. But Trump apparently got, into Netanyahu's ear and said, don't do it. And apparently all Israel took out this morning in Iran was a radar location. And as far as we know now, nothing else in terms of missile fire, rocket fire, bombs, etc., has been exchanged between the two countries. Okay? These things are messy. Sometimes they're not hard and fast. I'm not making excuses for Iran. I'm not making excuses for Israel. I'm saying, look, you can look at that and you could say, okay, violation of the ceasefire, go back to war. Or you could say, all right, you guys both got your shots in enough, right? Which is basically what Trump was saying in the F-bomb video. No more after this. It's in place. End it. End it. And that's what I think is happening here. And it kind of looks like with, Trump's post about getting the big, beautiful bill, that he's ready to pivot away from the Middle East as well. Now, what happened yesterday? Can I ask the chat again? The chat's been very attentive and very smart with it. What was from the very beginning? Have I tried to compare if Donald Trump was going to go in and do a one and done, right? One strike, bomb the nuclear facilities and out. What was the comparison that I was using and that so many other people were using back from 2020? Do we remember? I said this yesterday. I said, Redneck 1770 said, children, knock it the F off. Exactly. What was the example and the comparison that I was making and that many people were making? Jason King has got it. Solommani, okay? Solommani. And back when, people didn't know whether or not the United States was going to get involved and join the offensive and bomb these nuclear facilities, I had explained to some of the quote-unquote anti-war people, and by the way, there are people who are simply anti-war, and my problem is not with you. There are people who are like, listen, I'm a veteran, or I know people in the military, or I don't know anybody in the military, and I'm not in the military, but I don't want war. That is a lot different than what the woke right is doing, okay? There's a difference between being anti-war and then being what they are being, all right? So if you're somebody who just doesn't like war, my problem isn't with you, okay? And I want to make that very clear. I don't like war. I didn't want the United States to get involved in the war. However, realistically speaking, okay, we all agreed back last week, Iran can't have a nuke, and I even read to you. I even said it yesterday. I said it last week. The most likely scenario is that the United States was going to go one and done on their nuclear facilities, and that was going to be the extent of U.S. involvement. And all of the woke right BS people, the insufferables, right? That's what we're going to refer to them as. All of the woke right insufferables, right, came out and said, no, if we go in, that's it. It's going to be a prolonged war, and Donald Trump is George W. Bush. And I said, no, it could just be a repeat of Soleimani. And they didn't want to hear that. No, it won't be a repeat of Soleimani. Israel's going to drag us into the war. We're going to put boots on the ground. Trump is George W. Bush. Well, what happened yesterday? Iran attacked U.S. bases in the Middle East, namely the large air base, I can't pronounce the name, in Qatar. Okay? They attacked it. Except, what did they do before they attacked it? They told us they were going to attack it. Kind of sounds very similar to what they did in 2020 with Soleimani, right? Right. Because whether the insufferables want to admit it or not, that outcome was always on the table, and as we said, was the most likely outcome. And that's what happened yesterday. Iran told us that the attack on, if you want to call it the attack, on our base was coming. They then gallivanted all over their state media channels and said, we destroyed the U.S. airbase in Qatar. We punished the aggressor. Well, this is an enunciation of victory. They launched like 6 missiles. Now, we're on the world stage going, all right, Iran, you really got us. Are you done now? It was a carbon copy of Soleimani. The woke right insufferables don't want a carbon copy of Soleimani. They so desperately crave a carbon copy of Iraq and Afghanistan so they could say, I told you so. When you understand that their own credibility means more to them than quote-unquote America first, when you understand that their own credibility means more to them than anybody in our military, when you understand that their own credibility means more to them than any American lives whatsoever, you will realize how big of a grift they are running and how phony these people actually are and how ashamed of themselves I think they are, but they can't admit it because the minute they admit it, their grift ends. That's why they all hyperventilated this morning again, not learning their lesson, thinking the ceasefire was in shambles already. These people are disgusting. They do not deserve the privilege of your trust anymore, ever again. All right. I'm going to play for you a clip on the other side of this break that essentially shows you that what we said about the Soleimani strike and how that compares to this is exactly how the White House is evaluating it. Isn't that interesting? You know, if you've been watching this show every day for the last 12, 13 days, you've been ahead of a lot. I'm not going to, sit here and say I got everything right. I thought for a very long time the United States was not going to offensively get involved offensively. But it was a week ago where I posted that post I read to you yesterday where I said the most likely scenario is option 2, where the United States gets involved, but we don't put boots on the ground and we don't do regime change. And if the Islamic regime falls, it's going to happen organically. And wouldn't you know it, everything except the collapse of the regime has happened. The United States is not putting boots on the ground. You've been ahead of it by about a week. All right. And I appreciate you all being here. And that's why I ask you to share it. I don't care about, I'm not one of these people where, this, that, we need, I need the most views in the industry. Do I want to have a massive show? Of course I want to have a huge audience. I believe that, that what we say on this show can be trusted because we're not sensationalist idiots out there. And we will get there with all your help. And we appreciate everything that you guys have done. The LFA family, the Ungovernables, McGroin Nation, y'all are great. All right. I want to talk to you about this amazing sponsor. We got a new sponsor. They started with us last week. They've got some really attractive, really cool products out there. For those of you concerned with identity theft, radiation, somebody hacking into your devices with signal, penetration, etc., you can protect yourself from all that. It's an amazing company. Their name is Silent, S-L-N-T. S-L-N-T. Silent. Silent.com/Shawn, S-H-A-W-N. Between the government, big tech, corporate America, and criminals, your privacy is compromised 24/7. It's always compromised. There is no other option right now. You have to protect yourself, and that starts with Silent, okay? Silent's Faraday products block all incoming and outgoing signals so that your devices are invisible and safe from the outside world. From their backpacks, their phone sleeves, and even their pants. That's right, they've got Faraday pants. Patented signal blocking technology blocks wireless signals, giving you peace of mind that your data does not end up in the wrong hands. Just place your device inside it, close it up, and that's all you have to do. You are safeguarded from unauthorized access. It blocks radiation. It stops any unwanted signals. It prevents tracking. It prevents hacking. It prevents government from figuring out where you're at. It prevents all of that. Just go to silent.com. That's SLNT.com/Shawn, S-H-A-W-N. And you will get 15% off and free shipping on all qualified orders. If this is something that's right up your alley, and I think it should be, silent.com/Shawn, S-H-A-W-N, for 15% off and free shipping on all qualified orders. Silent.com/Shawn, S-H-A-W-N. Stay ahead of what's coming and secure your privacy today at silent, SLNT.com/Shawn, S-H-A-W-N, for 15% off. Silent.com/Shawn for 15% off. All right. Quick sip of the tea. We're ready to rock. The attack on the United States bases yesterday in Qatar and other rumors of attacks in the Middle East were almost complete and total carbon copies of the way the Soleimani strike in 2020 played out. In 2020, the United States killed Qasem Soleimani, one of Iran's top generals, one of the worst sponsors of terrorism in the region, right in the Middle East. Iran was very unhappy about it. They felt dishonored and this whole thing, okay? And you know how they get. They start, it's dishonorable and the infidel and blah, 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 blah. They start talking all crazy. And we knew that retaliation was coming. And Donald Trump, warned them over and over, don't retaliate, this whole nine. And then they attacked one of our bases. And then we found out, right? We found out not too long from then that the Iranians gave the United States a heads up before launching that attack on our bases. Now, I do believe in the 2020 attack, there were American service members who were injured. They had some traumatic brain injuries from that strike. But nobody lost their life in that attack. And so Donald Trump did not escalate further. He did not retaliate again. That was the off-ramp. And there were people at that point in time who were thinking, here comes World War III, and it never happened. Wow, we've seen that before, right? So Iran started to retaliate yesterday. And the early reports were that 6 missiles were fired at the air base in Qatar. And, there were other rumors of attacks in bases around the region. And there was some clickbait that was going around that some of the missiles made impact. The bottom line is all of the missiles were intercepted. There was no further retaliation and attack from Iran. And all of a sudden, things started to feel very similar to what happened in 2020, except in this one, nobody was even hurt. No American lives were lost. Someone do a check on Tucker Carlson, by the way, who said thousands of Americans will be killed if we attack Iran's nuclear facility. Thousands of them. I'm sorry. Has that happened yet? Has Tucker admitted he was wrong yet? Has any of Tucker Carlson's pathetic sycophants admitted that he's wrong yet? Listen, when it comes to Tucker, I genuinely believe that he doesn't want the United States to go to war. I'm not questioning his motivations, but the guy has really lost the plot and a lot of credibility. Remember when there were people running around who thought that Tucker Carlson was going to be the vice president of the United States? Remember that? It's going to be Tucker, bro. No, it's not, bro. Thankfully, Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance. When you look at and you contrast the Soleimani retaliation and yesterday's retaliation, it was not just easy to see coming. It's refreshing to know that was what the White House expected as well. Now, look, here's a clip from CNN. The only reason I'm playing it is because this clip was available. Western Lensman put this out on X yesterday, and it shows you that the White House was already thinking in these terms while the attack was happening because they got the same type of heads up and the same type of warning, right? It started to become evident that there was some sort of knowledge of this attack coming in because Qatar started closing airspace and these other countries all of a sudden went on high alert as if they knew the attack was coming. And of course, you could kind of maybe from the skies, from overhead, kind of see that it was coming. They were positioning themselves for an attack maybe. You could say that's why. But it turns out Iran gave the United States a heads up. So listen to this clip as they talk about how the White House has been characterized that attack on U.S. bases yesterday.
About what's been going on in the White House and what are you hearing?
Yeah, Anderson, I mean, when I just caught up with some White House officials, and one of them was telling me that essentially they had been expecting this. They knew that Iran was going to retaliate. One of them actually argued that they had a similar response, the Iranians, after the killing of Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani back in 2020. They say what they've seen so far from these initial assessments, it looks like a similar type of retaliation. And essentially they argued as well that their initial assessments, again, we know that the president is currently in the West Wing meeting with his national security team, but their initial assessments is that these missiles did not hit their intended targets, kind of echoing now what we have heard from the Qataris. And one thing I want to make clear as well, and this came up again in my conversations after we've seen this response from the Iranians, is that the president has made clear to his team here at the White House that he does not want further U.S. military action in the region as of this point. Of course, this could all be changing now as we're seeing this response, this retaliation from the Iranians. But prior to this attack, his posture was that he does not want to have more U.S. intervention in the Middle East. Again, we'll see if that changes now that we've seen this. But they argued that depending on how this goes and seeing as of now that they do not believe that the Iranian missiles had hit their targets, they believe he may maintain that posture. I will say, though, they of course said that the president is reserving the right to escalate U.S. military involvement if necessary, but that's his current posture at the moment, Anderson.
There it was, right? So the White House clearly felt that this was very, very similar, right, to the Soleimani strike, which is something that we said, could be expected. Of course, there were other outcomes that were possible, right? It's not that there weren't any other outcomes that were possible. It's that what we heard, right, what we were seeing and what we have seen in the past made it a distinct possibility that these attacks could mirror that of Soleimani because Iran respects Donald Trump. They respect the power of the United States military, and they would maybe repeat history. When I started seeing Iranian state media saying we've punished the aggressor, this is an enunciation of victory, I said, okay, I think they're done. I think they're done. because they are propagandizing to their people, right? They did this to save face. They were propagandizing to their people. Look, we attacked the United States. Look. And they gave the U.S. an off-ramp, and now we're not retaliating, so they're going to propagandize back in their homeland, right? That, we attacked the United States, and they didn't even fight back because they were scared. They're gonna use it, and you know what? Run with it. Go ahead, whatever. Peace is more important than that, right? Everybody else around the world knows what happened, but when you have state-run media like Iran, they can go ahead and they can say 1984, 2 + 2 = 5, and the people have to, they'll hear it and they'll believe it. So you had this attack yesterday, and you had the Iranian response, and it mirrored Soleimani. But while it was happening, before the missiles were even intercepted, again, you had these people out there acting like, oh, here we go. I told you so. You told us what? Candace Owens started doing this. Oh, here it is. This is the beginning. It was the end. It was the end. But what did I tell you about the insufferables? What did I tell you about the insufferables? This is never about war. This was never about America first. This was never about, peace. This was about them. This was about them having the ability to say what? Them having the ability to say, I told you so. That's all it's been. That's all it's always been about. That's all it has always been about. Okay? It has always been about being able to say, I told you so. That's why they all rushed to judgment yesterday. That's why when the attacks were happening, and it looked very similar to Soleimani, and it was not even a proportional attack on the United States. I mean, we just bombed 3 of their nuclear facilities, and they launched 6 missiles. 6. And people are here. This is it. I'll tell you what. I'm happy that finally this one's true colors are showing. Marjorie Taylor Greene. There is a way to argue. There is a way to argue and to advocate for things contra to what Donald Trump is standing for, and then there is what Marjorie Taylor Greene has been doing. Again, I'm not going to take away from anything that she has done for January 6th and J6 defendants. She's been great on that front. I'm not taking anything away from her. I think she exposed herself in a bad way yesterday, though. I don't know anyone in America, she says, I don't know anyone in America who has been the victim of a crime or killed by Iran. Are you kidding me? She doesn't know a thing. It's as if Iran has never wronged us in the past. And she pivots. But I know many people who have been victims of crime committed by illegal aliens or murdered by cartel and Chinese fentanyl and drugs. Okay. That's fine. I don't have an issue with focusing on the border. But to act like Iran is not, doing anything wrong here is just so disingenuous and so phony. How about Marjorie yesterday on X, or maybe it was 2 days ago, saying, I spent millions of my own dollars to campaign. I don't know her background. I don't know if she grew up wealthy or not. But millions of her own dollars? My question to Marjorie Taylor Greene is, did you have those millions before you got elected? She may have. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's not a gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if maybe in the people in the chat. How did she come up with or come with millions of dollars? Does anybody have any idea? Now, I see some people calling her like a traitor. And I don't know if I would go that far. I don't know if I would go that far, but I would say she's certainly not she's not intelligent. I didn't know any other way to put it. You know, this is the Jewish space lasers lady after all. And she's in a relationship with Brian Glenn. So it shows you, you know, and that's birds of a feather because both of them have an IQ maybe comparable to that of the Haji twins. I don't know. It'll keep your fridge cold. She had some wealth. She owns a construction. Okay, so she may have had that. She may have had the millions. But I can bet you. I can bet you that. And maybe this wasn't her goal. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I can bet you that Marjorie Taylor Greene, whether or not, you know, so she had some wealth before she started campaigning. That's fine. It's respectable. So did Donald Trump. I have no problem with that. None. I genuinely didn't know. I don't know her background. I didn't hear about her. Nobody knew who she was until, 2020, right? When she got elected. But I bet you her wealth has increased since taking office. And again, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a foul, right? Or a penalty. Some people, they do the right thing. And as a result of doing the right thing, they become popular and it kind of monetizes itself. Some people want that celebrity status. And I'll tell you what. And Brennan and I both saw this at a Trump rally in 2022. And she walked out and acted like she was somebody. You're a congresswoman, okay? You're a congresswoman. You're a public servant. And the whole place started going crazy and bowing down. And I'm like, you know what? We were both kind of like, this is strange. This is weird. It was odd. Very odd behavior. Now, I'm not going to say she's a bad person. I'm going to stop short of calling her a traitor. I think Georgia and those in her district can do better than that. And I think this latest, her takes and her explanations and her positions were grounded in, again, it's one thing, as that article by David Strom said. I would encourage you guys to read it. It's over on hotair.com. It's one thing to oppose the airstrike on Iran. Okay? But it's another thing to be irrational about it. And she just every time she puts a statement out there, she just keeps digging a bigger hole. Stop tweeting, get back in the House, and get the big beautiful bill passed, please. Please pass tax cuts and stop with this other crap. All right. Okay, let's talk about the LFA TV store, and then we're going to do some good news. Right, we're going to have a little bit of fun because something happened in Florida. Florida mustard. For those of you from the 1210 WPHT family, mustard. What is that? What was that? Newman Price, right? The thing he made the songs. Sending out my mustard in a bottle. Folks, let's talk about the LFA TV store. LFATV.us, LFATV.us. You're watching on X, you're watching on Rumble, you're watching anywhere else. Again, hit that like button, hit that repost button, spread the love, and also check out the LFA TV store right here at LFATV.us. You go to the website, click on the LFA TV store tab, and you will see everything that there is to offer at the LFA TV store by clicking on this button here. See where it says visit the store on the right-hand side? By the way, spring cleaning sale until June 30th, 6 days to take advantage of the 20% off sale. But there's everything that you can possibly imagine here at the LFA TV store, including the greatest vice president of all time t-shirt. I don't really care, Margaret. JD Vance, 48, right? You got the Trump Vance coffee mug with all the iconic photos. Barb Naylor's one of her finest creations up here with all the iconic photos of the 2024 campaign cycle and all sorts of other good stuff here at the LFA TV store. It's LFATV.us, LFATV.us, or JeremyHerald.com/store. There is something for everybody and a 20% off sale until June 30th happening right now at the LFA TV store. So again, LFATV.us or JeremyHerald.com/store, LFATV.us or JeremyHerald.com/store. Jason King playing spoiler in the chat. Love it. Saying a Gator moat surrounded detention center equals Taco Tuesday for Gators. Yes, there is a project that has been approved by the Department of Homeland Security that is being known as Alligator Alcatraz. I think this is one of the greatest ideas that has ever come from the state of Florida. Maybe the best idea that has come from the state of Florida, other than the law that says you can run over protesters if in the middle of the road. But you're not an idea. You're a real thing. You're a person. This is the best. This idea in Florida is amazing. They're calling it Alligator Alcatraz. Look at this like promo, this ad that they put together in support of this. Watch.
This 30 square mile area is completely surrounded by the Everglades. Presents a efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility because you don't need to invest that much in the perimeter. People get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Within just 30 to 60 days after we begin construction, it could be up and running and could house as many as 1,000 criminal aliens. This presents a great opportunity for the state of Florida to work with Miami-Dade and Collier counties. Alligator Alcatraz, we're ready to go.
Alligator Alcatraz. Folks, this is, you know what, not only is this an awesome idea, but I can only imagine the left. Oh my gosh, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, James Uthmeyer, the state of Florida wants to feed illegal aliens to alligators. Well, I don't want to feed them to alligators, but if they escape, that's what's going to happen. Imagine them running across the Everglades. Ay! The gators are trying to get me, man. No, it's not inhumane. It's just, you're not going to be able to escape. You get out, where are you going? You're going to run into the jaws of an alligator. You're going to get, strangled by a python. I mean, you got good luck. You ain't going to last long out there. I happen to think that this is a phenomenal idea. I think it's funny. I think it's creative. And I want to see it happen. And apparently the Department of Homeland Security, now this is no longer like a proposal. This proposal has been approved in the state of Florida. Alligator Alcatraz sounds like it's coming to fruition. The Department of Homeland Security approved an immigrant detention center in Florida nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz to be built, according to a report from the New York Times. As Breitbart reported, Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer initially pitched the idea to turn the virtually abandoned Miami-Dade Collier training facility into a detention center to house illegal aliens, which would be guarded by alligators and pythons. Oh my gosh. I think it is great. And the left obviously is going to have a major problem with it. Another one, if you're in New York City today, listen, I'm going to stop short at saying vote for Andrew Cuomo. But right now, your choice for New York City, just in case anybody thinks New York is going red. Well, the state might go red. New York City is not going to go red. The state may very well go red with Elise Stefanik running for governor, because they may be able to outweigh the New York City vote. But for those of you who think that the politics in New York City are about to change and go, towards the right, just know that your two top candidates for New York City mayor, one of them is Andrew Cuomo, and the other one is this Zohran Mamdani, who is a Muslim socialist in New York City. Those are your two choices. It's either Cuomo, nothing else needs to be said about him. We are going to close down the schools. You may not remove your mask, but if you are one of my interns, you must remove your clothes, right? Or this Muslim socialist who, if he gets elected, New York City is going to look a lot like London. Those are your top two in that New York City primary today, which is essentially going to determine who the next mayor is right now. Those are your top two. Mamdani was ahead in some polls. Cuomo was ahead in some polls. Listen, if you live in New York City, I don't know what to tell you. I know what to tell you. Get out of New York City. Clearly, things have not gotten bad enough in New York City. Clearly, things have not gotten bad enough in New York City if those are your two choices for mayor. Okay? It's just, we'll see what happens. Poly market odds flipped back in Cuomo's favor this morning, so we'll see what happens. Finally, the Supreme Court has ruled that the United States can deport violent criminal aliens to third-party countries, although, you know what? Maybe we won't have to in a couple months, right? Because if Alligator Alcatraz gets up and running, I don't think we should give them to El Salvador. I think we should have some fun over in the Everglades. It's only 1,000 beds, though. The order came after a deportation flight carrying men from Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Cuba, and Mexico were deported to Djibouti. The fact that there's a country out there called Djibouti is one of my favorites. Supreme Court ruled on Monday that deportations of migrants to third-party countries can continue without additional due process requirements that were imposed by a district court judge. This will allow the case to continue through the lower courts. The court came after a deportation flight carrying men from Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Mexico, and was diverted to Djibouti after initially being scheduled to land in South Sudan. The rerouting was made to allow the individuals time to contest their deportations. Well, now the Supreme Court says if you're a violent criminal who's been convicted of a violent crime, illegal alien, you don't get any more due process because you've already had your due process, and you could be deported anywhere they want. Anywhere they want. So you have that good news there from the Supreme Court as well. Standing up for the administration's right to make America safe again, which is something that we all voted for. We didn't vote for any of these judges. By the way, I think these judges are going to rule that Donald Trump's use of the F-bomb without consulting Congress was unconstitutional. I'm sure that's coming as well. Remember, folks, who can and cannot be trusted. Look at this wail from Tucker Carlson. Thousands of American deaths at bases throughout the Middle East are going to happen if we bomb Iran's nuclear sites. Tucker still hasn't admitted he's wrong. Zero credibility, folks, going forward. I think he also called Alex Jones a divine messenger. Alex Jones, the guy who called children who died in a school shooting crisis actors. Okay. Divine messenger. Real good choice of words there, Tuck. All right. We got Live from America coming up next 2 hours. As President Trump would say, we're going to add a new ending to our. We're going to add a new ending. We will never give up. We will never give in, and we will never ever surrender. And if all else fails, we will just become ungovernable. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching and listening all over the place. Hit the repost button, hit the like button. Follow us anywhere you get your podcast too, audio podcasts as well. I know there's a handful of people who listen over there. The best way to watch the show or consume the show is rumble.com/LFA TV or, of course, over on X. So I encourage you guys and gals, if you're watching on Rumble, if you're watching on X, create a Rumble account. Some of you don't have a Rumble account. It's totally free. Follow rumble.com/LFA TV. Hit the like button for this stream, which runs all day here on LFA TV. Live from America up next for the next 2 hours. As the great John Fetterman would say, bang gavel. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Same time, same place. We're here for 2 hours tomorrow, filling in for the first hour of Live from America as well. Everyone who clamors for me to do 2 hours and scream for 2 hours, you're getting your wish. Tomorrow morning, we'll be doing 2 straight hours here on LFA TV, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, ending at noon. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And, of course, to end it, our new ending, as Donald Trump would say, thank you for your attention to this matter.